Lurker. Uh, Brendan, how art thou? I'm trying to hydrate. It's hot out there. My Daryl, how are you? Jeremy. Uh, yeah, I went to paint yesterday. I flipped on my fan, and it sounded real bad. I didn't have much suck, so I crawled up on top of the ceiling and took everything apart, and my whole uh, vent system was clogged with clear coat and paint paraphernalia. I guess that's why you should run filters in front, but I don't. So it lasted a couple of years before it clogged up, so that's pretty good. David did not get turned into a visor. No 5 pound smallie, and you asked a question that I saw later because I went and took a shower, and then I came back in and I saw where you had asked a question to me, and I'm trying to remember what it was because I made a mental note, and I was like, oh, I'll remember that and make a note of it tomorrow. Um, but I can't remember what it was. Um, I meant to ask you what filter now. I gave up on filters. I gave up on filters. Uh, I use them for a little while. The problem I ran into with filters was that you can get like $1 filters from like Home Depot, but my Home Depot doesn't stock them. And I use like a 20 by 20 by 1 or something. It's just a perfect square, and it's one of the blue cardboard ones. And that's what I used to shoot in. Except I couldn't just go buy them. I'd have to order like 20 of them. And then when I go through those, I'd have to order another 20, but then I had to have them delivered to Home Depot, and it's just annoying. So I I don't know. Paint arrestor? I don't even know what that is. I didn't look past the blue filter. Fill me in. Maybe that's what I need. Uh, or I could just spray into a waterfall like they do in China, which is pretty awesome. If you've never seen that done, they have these spray booths set up that are just like a waterfall and like a pool of water, and they spray, and the water catches their overspray and like filters it or recycles it. It's pretty awesome. Uh, Pretty awesome. Wanted to know how you like the. Oh yeah, that's what it was. The Dobbins. They are um, very similar in action to the Powells that I use. Um, they are to me, the Powells have always had like the perfect tip, um, and like tip to backbone. They were always really really good in that sense. Um, but the Dobbins were pretty close. Um, Hold on, my mother-in-law is calling. Hello. Hello.
Hey, TK,
Hi.
what's the meet you're going to be having at?
Probably sometime after 5, like 5:30.
Okay, I got a estimate from Myers Air Conditioning, and I want to send it to you so you can see what they say, why they won't cover certain things. And when you come home at some time, you can go up there and take pictures because what they're saying isn't exactly what I thought.
Okay.
So
I can do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you then.
All
Bye
right,
bye.
thanks, bye. Oh, more AC shit. Um, yeah, the Dobbins weren't bad. The Dobbins weren't bad. I didn't feel, which there was a few things that Hella used, like actions that were different than what I would have preferred, but the rods felt great. Um, I don't know that I picked one up that I thought was odd. It felt good. Uh, yeah, so there wasn't any the rods felt fine. The only thing that was different was switching from Shimano's to Daiwas. No, I'm not joining the damn Blue Reel gang. That was absurd. I got in the boat and AJ got in the boat and this friggin' coastal dive was everywhere I turned. Uh, Travis, they're in Tennessee. I wonder if they'll accept Mobile, Alabama as their first down south establishment. Um, that is one thing I did not like up there was how late it gets dark. That shit sucked, dude. Because you could fish till like 9 if you wanted to, or 9:30, and we'd fish till like 8:30, and then you go home, do what you got to do, like you know, get ready to eat some food and cook, and by the time you get done with that, it's 10, then you chill out for a second, eat, 11, and then you like shoot the shit for a minute, and it's midnight, and then you got to wake up again at 6:30, whatever. Um, so that was tough, and I feel like as weird as it is that uh, the afternoon bite was not good. Like staying late, I don't think benefited us at all. Um, that was I don't know that we ever got on a good like afternoon bite. Like you caught some fish, but it wasn't nearly as good as it was like 5. Once it got past that, once it got to like 6, 7, 8, it was just kind of me. We'd have probably been looking back. Would have probably been better off going home and like actually resting. What's up, JP? Oh, I know AJ, but it was hard. It was hard coming down off the pond at 10, and then eating and doing all that stuff, and it's all you're gassed by that point. You are gassed. I'm looking for my paint. And I gotta dot a few I's. I gotta dot a few I's. 3 to 5 is my confidence time in throwing jigs at docks. I could see that. I like y'all's docks up there. They're not too low, and they're all the same, which is, I mean, for the most part, like you know what you're like when you're going dock fishing. You know what you're getting into. You know what you got to skip around. They're pretty much all set up the same, same height. It's pretty good. Um, but I'm still worn out, dude. I'm still tired. That was more fishing in 4 days than I've done in the last year. Like one day's normal, but back to back to back, I haven't fished that many days in a row, and shit, I couldn't tell you how long. Probably since 10 years. So no 5 pound smallie. No, I did catch some twos. I don't know that I've caught a 3 pounder. Uh, maybe I can't. It's honestly a blur. Uh, but the smallmouth were fun, and it was so weird being the like one day it was just slick, calm, hot, not much wind. Like it was just a you know not a good largemouth day. But hell, it was like, oh, it's great for smallmouth. They love this. And sure enough, yeah, go out there and throw top water and start catching smallmouth. This is weird, dude. Um, Casey's and walleye. Casey's was pretty delicious. They've got some improvement to do on their biscuits and their croissants, which I don't even know why they put those out there. The breakfast pizza was good. Um, uh, but the brisket pizza was incredible. I tried to. I probably ate a whole brisket pizza before I ever tried a piece of pepperoni, and I didn't try a piece of pepperoni until we were on the way home the last day. And I was like, I guess I need to try this pepperoni, so I got a piece of pepperoni. It was pretty good. Um, no quick trips. Didn't make it to quick trips. Um, but trying to think what else. I got there. I'm trying to think of what all I tried. I tried their little chocolate peanut butter rice crispy things. Those were good. I tried their chocolate chip cookies. Those were good. I tried their donut holes. Those were good. I tried their blueberry donut holes. Those were good. Um, Most everything. I even got their sweet tea, and it was decent the first time I drank it. I don't know if it was because I hadn't had sweet tea, but I didn't make sweet tea because I went to Casey's and I was gonna pick up a few things, and a damn bag of sugar was $9. I was like, no, nah, just do without. Go get me a 2 liter Pepsi. But they had sweet tea in their little vending section, and I got a or their concessions section, and I got a glass of tea there, and it was pretty good. And then the second time I got it, it tasted like dog shit. It was awful. They left all the sugar out, but I guess at $9 a bag, I'd probably put a teaspoon in there too. Um, Everything that Quick Trip sells for ready to go food is better than Casey's besides the pizza. Casey's Pizza reigns king. I don't know why. Yeah, I feel like Casey's could totally dominate Quick Trip they if they put forth a little effort. Uh, because you can't tell me any exec at Casey's is tasting one of those biscuits and being like, "Damn, these are good." You know what I mean? They're terrible. So they could take a tip from the dirty South and get a new biscuit recipe. Mm. But the terrain didn't look like I thought. I don't know why, but it just wasn't what I pictured. It's a lot rockier. Um, Did the greenheads fight harder than I expected? Not really. They were pretty standard. Uh, they didn't fight harder. I will say they were more eager to they were more eager to play with our baits. That's for damn sure. Uh, if you're headed to the lake in Alabama, where are you stopping for a morning Alabama biscuit? Hmm. There's a place up the street uh, in Satsuma. It's a Chevron station, and they have these. They do this thing called what's it called? It's like I forget what it's called. Breakfast gumbo, I think is what it is. Breakfast gumbo, but it's like grits, and then they put sausage and bacon and like onions and gravy and all this shit on it. It's pretty damn good. Um, but being in Texas and hearing you talk about Casey's brisket pizza is unfathomable. I mean, we are talking about gas station pizza. It's not like for gas station pizza, it was the best of uh, the pizzas, in my opinion. Small Lake, hella. Cottonwood. Could have been Cottonwood. Could have been. I got a belly full of that shit. I know that. Who else has Cottonwood? Because that stuff is the white death. The white devil. If I never have to pick another piece of that shit off my line, I will be a happy man. I had almost separated it from my mind. Hardee's. That is true, Bob. Hardee's. Hardee's probably does have the best breakfast biscuits. Uh, gas stations. I don't know that we have any good gas stations. We don't have any jacks down here. There are places with jacks, but we don't have jacks. And Jack's biscuits are good, but we don't have one down here. We got Bojangles. We just got a Bojangles. Their biscuits are good, but they're expensive. Um, I think what else? All right, things are done. Um, yeah, so my trophy walleye, that some of you may or may not have seen, um, came on the prototype Burnsy. So Burns sent me this. I painted it up, threw it in the box. This is a smaller version of the root. It's a little downsized version. I mean, it's still pretty big, but it's not microscopic by any means. It's just a little smaller. Probably, if I were to describe it, it would be like a 2.0 size. Um, but the big walleye chomped the Burns. So yes, I will be releasing these in Wonder Bread and a bunch of other shitty walleye colors for everybody. Um, but I actually caught that was that was actually uh, hella. What's the terminology? We released the big giant one. Uh, Hella said they weren't good, so we threw it back. Um, but we did spend a day on a lake that had been nuked in the wintertime, and we started questioning our angling abilities. We're like, where are we really this bad? And we fished out there like I guess all day, and Hella caught a largemouth, which uh, we didn't know would have happened. Like didn't know those were even in there. They weren't supposed to be. Um, yeah, I think AJ might have been able to drag a few out of the back of the boat. Um, but anyway, there was supposed to be a smallmouth factory, and we caught like two little smallmouth that were like this big. And after we got done, I was thinking it was the algae because it was a really, really, really like gnarly, heavy algae bloom. I was like, this has got to be something to do with it. And because at Big Stone on the northern end where we couldn't get bit up there, it was the same way. It was like really, really like super thick algae. And so after that, I was like, I think these fish are like really dicked up. It's affecting these smallmouth. Come to find out, got too cold, too much ice, whatever, killed all the smallmouth. So we were fishing for a recently deceased population of fish, um, which made me sleep a little better because I was beginning to think that something was wrong with our angling abilities. We missed something really big. Turns out we were fishing for fish that weren't there. Um, yeah, even if there was fish in there, that I don't know how much they would have liked. Like we caught some surprisingly in some pretty heavy algae. That was the first time I've really experienced that. There was a few couple times we got bit in some algae that was pretty heavy. Uh, I didn't particularly care for it. Um, but on the flip side of that, if you got like in perfectly clean water where there was no algae, it seemed like it was harder to get bit in that water. So you had to find like a in between water. Seemed like um, forward facing sonar. No, I think when we were at the dead lake, the one that had been nuked in the wintertime, I think Hella tried to. I think he was trying to run down some fish, but I think they were carp or something else, hoping they were bass. And it turns out there were none. Um, I mean, you can catch them when I've been on the lax twice with big algae blooms, and they'll still bite, but they don't like it. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was putting myself in a fish's shoes and thinking about having to if you're gonna exert the energy to chase a bait and you have to like push all that nasty shit through your gills, I probably wouldn't be into that. But some of them didn't seem to mind too bad. Um, how much better would it have been algaeless? I don't know. Marty Burns talking about your PB walleye crank that you built. Go back to mini if the opportunity popped up again, for sure. I had a blast. That was fun. It was it's definitely different. Definitely different. A lot of it was actually the best thing about it was uh so when you read all this stuff and you hear people talk about how they catch fish, and like you read about like patterns and like stuff like that, um, for like up north, it doesn't really make sense until you see it. Like it makes sense in theory, but seeing the water and see how it lays out and seeing the grass and seeing all, like being able to put your eyes on it and see all of that kind of makes all of that make sense. So, um, like if I watch a tournament at like, Mille Lacs or something, like seeing kind of how those lakes set up, having seen some of the lakes now, it makes a little more sense. Um, but oh, I did catch. Oh, I need to. I won't spill the beans on that. I'll make another video about that. Um, but a Ned rigged, and I've got thoughts on the Ned rig. Uh, I'm not mad at the Ned rig. I'm mad at dragging. Like the Ned is no different. It goes to the bottom. You still have to wait on it. You still have to shake it. You still have to drag it. It's no different than anything else. Like, I mean, my beef is not with the Ned. My beef is with waiting for shit to fall to the bottom slowly and then wiggling it around and waiting for a fish to decide if they want to eat your little morsel. Uh, so, small, light things going to the bottom, not not my favorite, but it's not specific to the Ned. It's specific to things that fall. Um, yeah, that's the thing. Morgan and the Ned I was throwing, it fell at a decent rate, but I don't know. Um, like to me, it's no different than anything else. Like I mean, it's the same as a shaky head. Don't like a shaky head. Don't like uh, basically anything that falls to the bottom. Pitching a jig is like where it ends for me. Um, but it got me thinking about this that big walleye, because what's that bait everybody throws up there? Um, Flicker shad. Like they're really this is the prototype baby root you sent me, Burns. Um, so the flicker shad, I think, is what rules the walleye tackle boxes, and I mean it's pretty much just a shad wrap. And this one's got a pretty aggressive wobble. And you can see the bill. Um, it's got a pretty aggressive wobble. and I caught that big walleye on it. And I wonder, and it made me wonder. I was like, I wonder if these fish are so used to the vibration of a flicker shad, because I caught quite a few walleye cranking, and it wasn't it wasn't on stereotypical, you know, flicker shad type stuff. Um, I caught one on a BDS1. Um, caught that big one on this. So I was wondering if maybe if you were a walleye guy and you liked casting crankbaits for walleye or trolling them or something, uh, if you might could get a few more bites or bigger bites if you bumped up the aggression of your wobble on your crankbait. Maybe that's something none of you walleye guys who are watching could do. But um, wacky rig, it's the same. The only way I can a little bit deal with it is if the water's like 4 feet or shallower. Um, I can kind of wait on a wacky rig, but not really. Um, Nico, I can get by with because I'm just going a few feet and it's done. But no, I didn't throw a snagless Sally. It was too slimy, and it was too. I wouldn't say it was too slimy. I couldn't cast it far enough. Couldn't cast it far enough. So um, it rode in the box. Um, I did realize my blades on my spinnerbait were too big. I couldn't reel them properly. So uh, if I were to go back, I would probably. That's the thing, Travis. Why try and catch a fish? Like I know I could have caught a fish on it. Like it wouldn't have really proven it. It would have been fun, but would it have been fun to have not caught a fish on a frog because I was throwing a Sally? No. Uh, yeah, I mean that first day me and Hella went, that frog bite was pretty stupid. Um, the only frog bite I could relate it to was the only frog bite I could relate it to was in like 2007, 8 at Kentucky Lake in June in the bushes when everybody was out on the ledges. You could skip a frog in the bushes, bronze, and I think we caught back then. We probably caught 43 pounders at Kentucky Lake, which you weren't going to win a tournament, but like the average, like we didn't catch any big ones. Like me and Hella caught big ones, like 4 to 5s. Um, but like at Kentucky Lake, you didn't catch any of that size. You might catch one four, um, but no, there wasn't any native gill water really. It was so grassy, uh, and there was so much. There was no hard edges of anything. Like I think if it would have been later in the year or earlier in the year or something where there was like a defined edge to something, you could have thrown it. But everything was just like spread out and like different. Can't feel my worm. Yeah, that was the lesson I learned. Hella and AJ were throwing this little, I don't know, was it like a 3/8 ounce jig? And like wind was kind of blowing. I couldn't really feel it. And I was like, "How y'all feel this thing?" They're like, "What do you need to feel it for?" I was like, "I don't know, just know what it's doing." And I think it's from like fishing trees so much and having to know like what my bait's doing. And they're like, "Quit worrying about feeling it. Just throw it out there and drag it around." Okay, so yeah, that was one takeaway. Don't feel your jig. Don't feel your worm. Um, uh, yeah, there wasn't too much. There wasn't too much. At the Lake X, we probably could have. I probably could have thrown it and maybe got some sniffs on it, but I mean, it didn't. I was trying to catch. I wasn't trying to, you know, I was trying to make the most of the trip and pull on as many as possible. Um, so, uh, Travis, we talked about that, Helen and I, and we both probably decided that maybe not a holiday weekend would be the best thing going forward if this were to happen again. Uh, so our hens don't get too upset. Because it was kind of depressing when we were like cruising around the lake and all the families are out there in their boats and on their docks and in their yards. Like, hell, it should be sure would be nice to be hanging out with your family on the 4th of July. He's like, yeah, no, and but yeah, we talked about some other lakes to maybe visit. Um, could could I don't know how painful that would be, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun. What is going on here? I'm getting blown up. Yeah, not feeling your worm. That was a thing. Um, the truth coming out about AJ that he doesn't identify as a cranker. He's a dragger, 100%. Uh, go closer to when they are putting the feed bags on before winter. When is that? Like September? I'm a catcher. He's a bite getter. He's a bite getter. I will say, yeah. If you're curious if bass are in the area, AJ can take his little jig and his drop shot, and he can let you know that pretty quick. All sizes. AJ, did they live here? 1 second. Yeah, there's one. So he was very nice to have in the back of the boat. He was. We just waited on him to bow up, and then we bird dog him. It was weird though. The windiest day was the least active fish. Um, yeah, if you're gonna swim bait up there, like you could get away with like a weedless, like a any type of like if you put like a weighted beast hook in like a mag draft or something, um, or like anything like that, like a rising sun. Um, you could make that work, but hard bait, it would have to be the right time of year and the right lake. Um, everything that I saw was not conducive to it. Like I don't know that there was one time where I was like, ooh, let me pick up something large with treble hooks. Um, all of a sudden, there were two dudes in the back of the boat. Uh, dee, 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 dee. Both have 316 beast glides. You would have not had fun with that. That is true. If you were really adamant about fishing a glide or something, there's probably 100% certainty you could find the lake that you were looking for. We were not looking for that. Uh, Wake or a rat, it would have driven you nuts. You couldn't have done it. I'm telling you, dude, there was shit everywhere. On top of the cottonwood, slime, algae, grass. Like, you could throw a frog, you could throw a skinny dipper, you could flip. Besides that, you might get a little open water and throw a buzz bait. You could throw a ribbit if you wanted to. Besides that, there was a few opportunities to like sling a chatterbait around maybe, but not really. I don't know if I don't know if anybody I don't know if anybody got a bite on a chatterbait. I don't recall a chatterbait bite. Um, Travis, that stuff's awful, dude. That stuff is awful. Yeah, you couldn't get a trolling motor through most of it. Uh, the 360 was nice. What wasn't nice was the 360 transducer and all the other shit stuck to Hella's trolling motor shaft. On top of it weighing a ton, covered in weeds to the point that the prop wouldn't spin, and then trying to pick that thing up, it was like 150 pounds. So, Pack for Florida, yeah, it was pretty much that. That was pretty accurate, very accurate. Strangely enough, um, but South Jersey, you wouldn't have put the G guard. That G guard would have damn been so gopped up full of bullshit. You'd have said, "Where's my frog? Where's my frog?" It's, it's like fishing through ooze. What motor is Hella running? Trolling motor? I think it's just like a 112 Ultrax. Outboard's 250 Mark 4-stroke Pro XS. I guess it's a Pro XS. I don't know what they call those new ones. Um, Troller, yes, Ultrax. First bite was on a chatter. It was a tiny pike. That was the last bite. There you go. Slop on Hell's Live did not look fun to fish. It is fun to fish, but there's not much you can do. You either frog them or you flip them. That's about it. Um, so, I mean, if you really wanted to and you wanted to get away from it, I guess you could get out there on which we tried that a little bit to like get on some of those deeper rocks and kind of drag around, but that didn't really seem like it was firing too good. Um, those weeds grow deep up there, everywhere. So I mean, you can't even get away from it. You could have punched, but the thing about the punching was that like all the grass was like in different phases of death and growth and like I don't. It would have been so hard to target something because it was basically the whole lake was covered in scattered grass. Um, so there were like I don't even know if you wanted to. I guess if you were like really adamant about it, you could have. Um, you could have put something together. But like I said, yeah, like Travis is saying, why would you? Screw these frogfish. Let me go fling a 1 ounce sinker around. Um, I mean, that is obviously the best tool for the job. I mean, when you look at all this stuff, the first thing that comes to your brain is, I hope they're eating a frog, because if they're not, this is going to suck. Because you know, I mean, punching's pretty slow, and there was so much shit in the water. You know, you're cleaning your bait off, and with a frog, you can get away with not cleaning it off as often and just like whipping the cast and getting some of the hoping half the shit flies off. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you were trying to find fish with just by flipping, that would have been a pretty long day. A pretty long day. Marty needs a trip to Big Stone. Yeah, I don't think Burns would have enjoyed Big Stone. He might have enjoyed brim fishing with uh, some of the locals. Even those familiar with up north, Big Stone is an oddity when it comes to weeds and growth. There you go. There you go. It had a lot going on. Lots of different kinds of weeds, lots of different stages of weeds, there was a lot going on. Um, there was a lot going on. Like I said, even if you found something, like you would have to have, I feel like to find a flipping bite, like a punching bite, you would have to have a very, very intimate knowledge of the lake to be able to know where to find what grass or what you were looking for. Because it seemed like every like 100 yards there was something different growing, or there was some different combination, or it was in some different stage. It was it was not normal. Um, um, should have gone to Mille Lacs. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. Uh, but it does make watching watching those tournaments and like oh, towards the end of the trip, I was laying in bed at night watching. I was catching up on some Al Linder, but he's always in Canada. It's like, you damn cheater. Everything I found on Linder, he's like, oh, we're up in this Canadian lake. It's like, you dick. I guess back in his young days, in his in fisherman days, we did watch some Jim Moyna. I talked about Jim Moyna a lot. Because Moyna was on Big Stone a couple weeks before we were there. So we watched his report and didn't have much to say. Later, Brendan. Enjoy dinner. Um, you don't understand how bad the rest of the country has it. Yeah, it was. That's what I asked Helen on the ride home. I was like, how many lakes are just like juice ponds that nobody even knows about? And he's like, oh, there's tons, dude. And Like that's mind-boggling to me that there's so many lakes that it outnumbers the amount of fishermen to ruin a lake. You know what I mean? Like there's still lakes that go untapped that you could just go to and just smash them and nobody cares because you're catching bass and not walleye and bluegill and crappie and perch and stuff. So uh, that was shocking. Like the amount of guys that walleye fished or whatever they fish for. I told Hell, I said, dude, you can't tell me that if you were walleye fishing and you were looking around and you saw a dude like rip some on a frog that you wouldn't think, you know, that looks kind of fun. Rather than sitting here with my rod stuck beside my console, floating out in the middle, like cooking my brain, uh, maybe I'll slide up to the bank and throw a frog on braid and rip some bass out of the weeds. That sounds fun. Nope, it doesn't sound fun to them. We were the minority. Um, in 5 days in five different lakes, we only saw one other boat targeting bass. Yeah. What about the two ratters? Did they count? Um, the dude at the gas station on the day we were going home, he's like, "Is that y'all's boat?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Y'all fishing for fillets or bass?" I'm like, "Bass." And he's like, "Oh." He's like, "Did you throw a square bill?" I'm like, "Yeah, we didn't really get bit on it." Like, "Oh, did you throw a sweet beaver?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Oh, that's usually the only two things I throw out there." Um, hope so, Bob. That would be a nice way to spend your time once you get back. Are these eyes dry yet? I will probably. Burnsy, I found this. I was looking for something to paint, and I found this. I found this little nugget of bait. I don't know what it is. It looks like a bandit. I really like it. I really like it. So we'll see what it does. I'm gonna try to put one together for next week, Travis. That's the plan. Walleye guys have a different mindset. Kissing a frog is too much work. Yeah, seemed like it. Seemed like it. That they let the succulent fillets fog their mind for actually having fun. Um, uh, I did knock the head off of a couple walleyes, and they were very delicious, very delicious. And AJ and Hella said they like perch better, and I don't know. I don't know how a freshwater fish could get any better than the walleye, but they say perch is better. So I have to bring my little grubs next time. See if I get some perch. I thought we would actually catch a perch, um, just farting around, but we never had any perch caught. But we catch a. Oh, I did have a big pike. That was fun. Uh, he sawed me off. Uh, hold on. do. I wanted to take the walleyes home with me. I guess most of you don't target other species often. Is that because you don't have a close season for bass? I know Hell isn't interested fishing through a hole in the ice. Yeah, we don't. We don't have seasons. The water's 55 degrees at the coldest here in the wintertime. I mean, you might see high 40s, rare. Uh, I haven't had it in a while. So, yeah. The only thing that you see down here, guys, flip flopping, is they will flip flop, and they don't even typically flip flop. You'll see guys bass fish, and then sometimes go trout and red fishing, and like go catch red snapper out in the Gulf, and like do that kind of stuff. So um, I kind of had a comparison that the walleye guys are kind of the walleye guys are kind of like our saltwater community here. They're kind of like the red snapper guys. Uh, like when it's snapper season, if you have a boat that floats, you're running as far as that boat can safely get, and like trying to drop on snapper. Uh, Come hell or high water, you're snapper fishing. Um, the TK reel wanted to go in the middle and drag on the bottom for wall. They piqued my interest after I ate my first one. Um, no, they wouldn't have lasted long, Travis. I would have because I wouldn't have been stuffing them. I would have been putting them in my stomach, so they would have been eaten quickly. Um, Flounder, yeah, a lot of flounder guys. But all right, I'm gonna get off here. I gotta go clear coat still. We'll do this. Tommy thought there might be a walleye in the area. He picked up the egg beater with paddle tail. There is some truth to that. I threw a Kitech a lot, not for bass. I was thinking bass would have been like my bycatch, but there is truth. Um, all right, y'all be good. Good talking to everybody. Uh, we'll continue this. I'm sure I'll think of a lot more stuff. Pointer boards. Uh, yeah, I was throwing the egg beater. I threw AJ's drop shot. I never touched. I didn't pick up Hella's. I threw Hella's spinning rod on the last day with a Ned. The only other time I touched a spinning rod was to throw a little swim bait. Um, and I caught a smallmouth. I caught a smallmouth, and I feel like another fish uh, on the dead lake, the one that got nuked on the swimmer. But I didn't get bit on it as good as I thought I would. It seemed like it would have been the right bait in a lot of the instances that we were fishing, but they didn't want it. They didn't like it. It wasn't yellow enough. All right. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later. Adios.